Five Out Basketball, five segments, five takes. This is the podcast for NBA conversations. This is Five Out Basketball, and it starts in 3, 2, 1.
There's a little bit of a promise for the Bulls. There's a player I really like, and it's going to transition because we have done a top 10 centers. We've done our top 10 point guards. So now we're going to meet in the middle. We're going to do our top 10 small forwards currently in the NBA. We're basing this off like this season, obviously a little bit in the past. That's something that you have to consider. And Everton, before we get into this, do you have any honorable mentions? Because I have two.
So I had to, but they aren't small forwards.
Sorry.
Like one of them was J-Dub, but I know he really does play the four, but it feels wrong having a 6'5" dude at the four sometimes. But Draymond does it, so I guess it really isn't a big issue. And then my other guy was Paul George. I technically he does play the two, so I'm not like upset about it, but PG is such a small forward to me. It only makes sense for him to be a small forward. But those are my two honorable mentions. I don't really that's what I had down, and I had other two names to compensate in case they weren't. Looking at my list, I guess an honorable mention could be RJ Barrett. You don't have him?
Wasn't even an honorable mention in my
Yeah, it
eyes.
wasn't even I can't think of any because those were the two guys I was like, well, if they are, they are. Or that's a tough one. Small forwards. See, the thing with small forwards is them and power forwards are so like at the hip that it's like sometimes I can't differentiate like who is a 3 and who's a 4. I can't even think of any other threes who didn't make this list because it's not the deepest position compared to like the other ones.
I realized that making the list.
Yeah, it's not like crazy like deep. So I'm just curious to hear your honorable mentions.
Well, I'm excited for this one because I feel like this list is a lot more debatable than our previous two have been. So I think we're gonna have a lot more fun conversation today. But who I snubbed is Chris Middleton and Michael Porter Jr.
Okay, well, I'm curious to hear who you have at that like 10-9 spot. But I did snub Chris Middleton. So, yes, considering him, yes, I did snub him.
All right, let's get right in this. We're gonna do 10, 9, 8. At my 10, I have Franz Wagner. At my 9, I still felt low putting this, but the Nets are terrible. I have Mikal Bridges.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
And then at my 8 is OG Anunoby.
Okay, so ours is the same. I actually I don't know why then because in 2K he's a 2 sometimes. So I think that's why my brain thought he was a 2. But Mikal Bridges, he would probably be my 9 or my 10. But my 8 is OG. My 9 would probably be Bridges because of his defense, and my 10 would be Franz. I had MPJ there. But you just reminded me he's really a 3. So I'm gonna say I'm push MPJ to the honorable mention spot and have Mikal Bridges as the 9.
So we have the same exact list so far. How exciting is this for the listeners?
I'm sorry, bro. We always think the same when it comes to a lot of these things. So
we just click.
We click, bro. That's just how it is.
Some people want to argue OG for being lower, but he's easily the best defender. That's a small forward. So you just have to give him his flowers. He has to be higher than I think Franz Wagner and Mikal Bridges, you can trust more to get a bucket in the final minutes, but OG's still a respectable 3-and-D player, and he's the best defensive small forward in the league. And I had Rudy Gobert higher on my list for that reason. So I'm gonna do the same thing for OG. He legit made the Knicks a legit contender after that trade happened. That's how legit OG is. So he is always gonna get his flowers on this podcast. OG slander is not tolerated.
Now, could you argue Bridges could be over him because he's better offensively while still being a really good defender?
See, I want to make that argument. That's a legit argument. I totally respect it, but I think OG with being the best and the Nets being horrendous, that was kind of my thing to put him over. It's just Mikal's obviously a better offensive player.
Yeah,
it's just that they aren't good enough, unfortunately. And with OG being able to be the missing piece, I just gave him his respect for that reason. But that's not an argument that I'm too passionate about. I don't think OG is that much clearer than Mikal. Yeah, Mikal's in a little bit of an unfortunate situation, and unfortunately, he's not leaving unless they get 5 first-round picks.
This is very true. This is very true. Before we move on, I want to ask: do you consider Dylan Brooks a snub too?
I do not. I think Dylan Brooks is overhated. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's just I just don't think he's that caliber of player. He's I get he's a little bit of a dickhead sometimes. I'm not gonna pretend he isn't, but Dylan Brooks, he's still an incredible defender and can get you a bucket when you need it. It's just
Yeah.
we said the list is a little weaker, but there's still levels to this. I just think Dylan Brooks isn't there yet unless a crazy reemergence happens in Houston.
No, I agree. I just wanted to ask. Just wanted to ask.
Got you. So now we are going to do 7 through 5. And this one hurt to put low because he's now an all-star, but the numbers aren't there yet. I have Scotty Barnes at 7, and then I have DeMar DeRozan at 6, and then I have Brandon Ingram at 5.
Okay, so we have the same names, different order.
Okay.
Okay, so 7 I have DeMar.
Uh-huh.
6 I have Ingram. I think we had the same for Ingram at 6.
I had
And
Ingram at
then
5.
oh yeah, Ingram at 5. And then 5 I had Scotty Barnes.
Yeah. So what made you put Scotty Barnes over the other two? Because I think next season he's 100% going to be there, but I think based off this season and credibility, I gave the other two the slight edge. So what made you give it to Scotty Barnes now?
I think for me the biggest thing is Scotty's just a better defender than both of these guys.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
Like DeMar, look, I love DeMar DeRozan. You know, sometimes I'd say I play like him, whatever this. He's not a good defender. Let's just call a spade a spade. And Ingram, he's not a poor defender. But I think with Scotty, he's like looking at this list, there's probably only about 2 or 3 guys I'd say are better defenders than him. And that includes OG being who probably the best defensive small forward, right? And then other guys who have won awards. I don't want to spoil that, but you know what I'm saying. But
Mhm.
Scotty, man, I mean, when you look at one scoring wise, he's on par with these guys. Like in a way, he's not the mid-range shooter that these guys are, but his 2-point shot's not terrible because he shoots a decent amount and he shoots decent from there. And his passing, you could argue he's a better passer than both of these guys.
Mhm.
With also being a better defender than both of them. I'm not gonna let just the scoring bag, which isn't even that far off, take them both above. But I respect what they both have done in the league, so I'm not mad if you have them lower. But I guess I really took more into account this season and what I've seen from Scotty.
Well, me personally, I think DeMar DeRozan's passing is criminally underrated. He still
It
averages like
is,
5 to 6 assists a season, and
yeah.
I forgot what game it was this season, but this 360 assist he throws into the corner, it's like
I know
NBA,
to Kobe.
NBA's never,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know what you're talking
NBA's never seen that before. And it's from DeMar DeRozan. Like, who would think that? And it's just, I think Scotty Barnes may have just hurt me personally because I know he has a higher ceiling that I'm waiting for him to get at, and the fact that I think he's not there yet is what's holding him back. And for right now, I think this changed over time. But if I need a bucket in the final moments, I still think I have more faith in Ingram and DeMar than I do have in Scotty Barnes. And I think Brandon Ingram, I know show some love for DeMar. Brandon Ingram is criminally underrated. Like I know
Yeah,
that no one really watches Pelican games, even though they do well, and just his style doesn't exactly click with every team. But Brandon Ingram's still fantastic from the mid range. He's getting you a bucket where you need it, and it's just I, I know there's more than just points per game, but when I need a buckets and their versatility, I just trust in them more because Scotty Barnes, his 3-point shot's still not there yet. And it's just, I think there is a higher ceiling for Scotty Barnes, which I think has him held back at the moment. But he's gonna take that leap, and he's gonna overtake these guys by next season. I'm
yeah.
waiting to see that jump first.
I agree. I'm not mad at it. Like I said, these guys are very close together. I feel like, when you give respect to those two, you could easily put them over Scotty. I value defense a lot. If you can't tell, I value like versatility and defense a lot when it comes to basketball. So that's why I gave him that spot over them. But I'm not mad at it. Like you said, Ingram, extremely underrated. I know people were like, oh, next KD, this and that, but Ingram, I watch him hoop a lot. Ingram is so tough. That
Hmm.
he is so tough. Both of these guys have some of the best mid-range jumpers in the league right now. So I'm not mad at the placement of them. I think we did a good job having the same names in this level, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's just difficult to whoever you pick is just kind of personal preference in a way.
I agree. But now this final four is the elite of the elite in the NBA. These are all no jokes. I feel like we have the same placement. I want to say we are, but I'm gonna let you give me your final four, starting from 4 to 1.
Oh, you gonna make me go to first?
I
Oh
am.
my God. Okay, let me say this now. The top two have switched for me every like 10
Yep,
minutes.
yep. I felt the same way.
So I'm gonna roll with whatever, but don't kill me in the comments. Look, it's tough.
I know
At
these
4, I
guys.
have Jimmy Butler.
Yep,
At 3, I have Kawhi.
yep.
At 2, okay, let's come together. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna just say the last two names and we'll decide who we think is 1 and 2. How about that?
Okay. Oh,
LeBron and
you're gonna make
Tatum.
me say who I put at 1? You suck.
Okay, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it.
Do it,
Two I
do
had
it.
LeBron, one I had Jason Tatum.
And that is the correct answer. I know I should say LeBron at 1 just to debate, but Jason Tatum's that guy. Like, I'm gonna show us flowers. I feel like every segment we make fun of the fact that he takes too many far shots at driving to the basket, but Jaylen Brown is so freakishly athletic. He can score from any range. He's also a fantastic defender. Doesn't get enough flowers for that. And the Celtics are arguably the best team in the NBA at the moment, and Jason Tatum's at the helm of that. LeBron's still a brilliant player, and it feels weird putting someone else above him in a player rankings like that. But Jason Tatum deserves it 100%.
Yeah. Okay, well, it
I just
sounds
wanted you
like
to say it first.
look, it was tough, bro. Like, I don't know, maybe because I grew up watching it, but it just feels wrong to have LeBron not one for small forward rankings. It just
Mm,
feels wrong, especially since it's not like he's been terrible. I
he's
mean,
been
LeBron's still
brilliant.
exactly 25, 7, and 8. That's just LeBron numbers. But I think when I consider one, Tatum's defensively has been, I mean, better than LeBron, which is it's fine. LeBron's 39, so it's not a big deal. Plays for the best team in the NBA, whereas LeBron plays for the 9th seed, which obviously different circumstance, but hey, it's gonna come into play when these guys are so closely ranked together.
Mhm.
I think the only thing you can kind of give clearly to LeBron is his playmaking,
Yep.
which hey, we know LeBron's one of the 3 best playmakers in the league right now, so more power to you.
Mhm.
But I'm a all the other things I think Tatum does do better when it comes to defense. He's a better shooter, even though shoots a lot more than I wish he did. But I think, and then we consider best team in the league. It's kind of hard to argue Tatum isn't over LeBron. And yeah, it was tough. It's still tough to me right now, honestly.
Yeah.
It's beating me, but I'm gonna roll with Tatum. I'm gonna roll
Yeah.
with Tatum.
Everton, how old do you feel?
I feel extremely old right now. Like oh
Yeah.
my God, I can't.
Ronaldo and Messi aren't considered the GOATs now compared to Mbappe and Haaland.
Uh,
Tom Brady's not in the league anymore. LeBron's not even the best small forward in the league anymore.
bro,
What happened to our childhood, man?
what happened to the game I love, man?
I don't know.
Like
Now I gotta start paying
all
taxes and stuff.
oh like bro, we're getting old, bro. Like
So,
all the guys I watched when I was younger are either retired on their last leg. It's man, we're old, bro. Old.
we have became the old heads.
We are the old heads.
Yeah, we're
Yes, it's
literally
getting real bad.
21.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We're young, but
Yeah.
we're old at the same
We're
time. There's
young old
people,
heads.
there's people older than us. I know a few,
Yeah.
but man, they're not gonna like that I said that. It's okay though. But yeah, go ahead. I'll let you have the floor.
Well, that's just not. I'm just sad now. I really wish I didn't say it out loud, just realizing how old we are. But the transition before we go to the next thing is just Jimmy Butler's not having the most fantastic regular season in the world, but I think we can both mutually agree that he is arguably the best playoff riser of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah, so that's just always gonna give us respect. Like you can argue some of these guys have better numbers, but we know how Jimmy Butler works by now. The
Yeah.
definition of coasting in the regular season. And then playoff. It's so funny. Every playoff time, it's like, oh, is Jimmy Butler top 5, top 10 in the NBA?
Every
And that's like
time,
regular
bro.
season, like, oh, he's not.
He's literally like clockwork. Regular season, Jimmy's like top 15, top 20,
Yeah.
Playoff time. Is Jimmy Butler the greatest player to ever touch a basketball? Like, guys, y'all do this every year. Pick one, bro. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
At some point, you got to realize Jimmy Butler's still one of my favorite players in the NBA, though. Even I gave some
Yeah.
slander. What he did in
Yeah.
Chicago, love that guy to death. And then Kawhi Leonard, another playoff riser, but he's been fantastic this regular season as
Yeah.
well. Something we don't normally see. He's been playing a lot more games as well, and love the Clippers team. Everything's going well for him. And
Could
you
you
have anything else to
argue
add on?
could you argue he's the best?
I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to put LeBron at 3. I'm too scared to do that.
Yeah, me too.
That's all you, Everton. If you want to take that one, go
I'm
ahead.
not gonna lie. Look, I was like, Kawhi, you could argue.
Mm.
You could argue is over LeBron, but I'm too scared to do it. I'm not doing it. It was already scary enough putting him at 2. I'm not putting him at 3, bro.
It's just LeBron. He's a much better playmaker, but
Yeah.
Kawhi is a much more versatile scorer, I feel like, and Kawhi is also an incredible defender on a much better team. And they're both shooting around the same percentage wise. It's just Kawhi's slightly better in both. Oh, actually, a lot better from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
There's an argument. I'm not gonna say my thoughts.
I'm not doing it.
LeBron's 2.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, bro.
I've read enough essays in our comment section by now.
Shout out to that Warriors fan, man.
Yeah. Don't remember your username. Comment here. We'll get you on the podcast one day.
Yeah. For sure.
Thank you so much for tuning into this segment of the 5 Out Podcast. I am Joey LeMaster, and me and Everton are so thankful for your guys' support. If you want to keep supporting us, please check out the full podcast on Spotify and follow our TikTok account. Both of those will be in the bio, and make sure to leave a like and stay smooth.